Okay, in this lecture I want to talk about vision field. This is the sort of field of vision, the area that you can see when standing up straight and just looking forward. I think this will give you a good understanding, a good baseline for what's to come in the future lectures in this section. So on the page here you can see my guy standing there. It's not a particularly great drawing, but that's not the point of this at the moment. Just quickly sketch that out. So he's standing there and he's looking straight ahead. Okay, so he's standing on the ground, and that's quite important. And there's my ground. So he's standing on ground level, looking straight ahead, and his vision field is like this, roughly, give or take. Now, there is a whole bunch of math that you can use to calculate all this in quite a lot of detail if you want to go online and check that, but from an artist's perspective it's not that important to get it down to the accuracy math detail. As long as you understand the concept of what I'm about to teach you, it should be fine. So basically this is your vision field, and if you stand up and you look straight ahead, you have a very limited vision to your left and right and to your up and down. Now if you were to draw a painting, or if you're doing a landscaping, you're sat in a field somewhere and you want to do a nice picture of a castle up on a hill, you would need some sort of framing device to do that. So what I would like you to do is imagine that there's a great big picture frame surrounding your vision field, so you can just see the top, you can just see the sides, and you can just see the bottom. We're going to call that our canvas, because essentially that's what it is. When we do drawings and we have a vision of an image in our head, we can see it, we can see the landscape in our head, but it's usually based on our vision field, what we can see in real life. I'm calling it our canvas because it's that view that we can see that we're going to imprint on this make-believe canvas that's stuck there in front of us. So that's the first thing. If we can understand that, and you'll see our canvas just sort of matches the vision field vertically, and it'll match it horizontally as well. So that's the canvas, and this is the vision field, and his eye line is coming straight out, straight through the canvas, and all this stuff here that you can see is going to be projected onto this canvas. Now the point of this is to determine where the horizon line is. Now a lot of people mistake the eye line for the horizon line, and they're not. They're very, very different things, and I'm going to explain why that is now. Here is my horizon line. Now it's often said the horizon line cuts through, and you can see my canvas here. It's often said the horizon line sort of cuts through the middle of the canvas, and I'm not entirely sure that that's true. So if you take our canvas now and you rotate it so it's facing you on the screen, you'll get something like this. That's not quite. So we'll match it up with the position of our canvas based on our vision field, and that's what we get. So it's there, and you can see our horizon line and our vision field cut straight through almost the middle. And when I start my paintings and I'm looking at straight ahead, I often go for a horizon line that's kind of around about there. It just feels a bit more natural, really. So it's kind of like a third the way up. Yeah, almost on line with the rule of third line there, the bottom line. And it just feels a bit more comfortable then when you're doing perspective than it does if it's sort of halfway, like that. Okay, so now this is all leading up to the next lecture where I'm going to talk about the horizon line in more detail, and you'll see what I mean. So if for example this guy looks up, his eye line will change, but the horizon line will not. It'll always stay in the same place because it's where the ground meets the sky. And now you can see the guy's looking up slightly. Look what it does to his eye line. It moves with it, and it's no longer parallel with the horizon line. He's looking up into the sky, and when this happens, the horizon line doesn't move, your vision field moves. So if we move this green box here now in line with our vision field, so it kind of is up there now, look what happens to the horizon line. It's about there. It is dropped on the page, and that's important because you're looking up into the sky, so the horizon line drops. And when you come to the perspective in a couple of lectures, you'll understand what this means in more detail. I'm just sort of laying the foundation of the horizon line here, and I'll go into more detail in the next lecture. So if you don't quite understand what I'm talking about, don't worry, this will come clear in the next lecture. Now if our guy looks down, if he was to look down, the same thing would happen. The horizon line would stay in the same place, but his vision field would change, and therefore, the horizon line would appear to move up the page because he's looking more towards the ground down here. So the concept I want you to get out of here is this canvas, really, and the vision field, because everything sort of stems from that. So everything stems from the fact that you have a limited vision field looking out from your eyes out to the world beyond, and if you look straight ahead, you kind of look towards the horizon line, which kind of, in my mind, just sits below, from an art perspective, really sits just below center, even though people say it's on the eye line, but I'm not entirely sure that it is. I think it's a little bit subjective, this, so it's up to you where you put it. When you start doing it, you'll get a feel for it. Like I said, mine's always a little bit lower than the center, than the eye line, but it's entirely up to you, really. But you'll get you'll get a feel for that as you go forward. So understand the concept of this invisible canvas that you're going to project your image onto your eye line, your vision field, and the horizon line, because they all come together to essentially form the foundation of the image that you're going to create. And if you're copying an image, you can see these things you can see the horizon line quite clearly. So if you've seen painters sitting in a field and they're holding up their fingers in a rectangle shape, that's what they're doing. They're creating this canvas so they can sort of picture and position the image onto the page, essentially. And I've seen a lot of artists use a canvas that has gridded squares on it, so they can literally almost copy onto the page using a sort of transparent sheet with grid on. I've seen that. A lot of different techniques for doing that in the painting world, and the same really applies in the digital world as well. And you might be wondering what this has all got to do with games. Well, it's all about fundamentals, because when you're positioning your camera in a scene, it's important that you get the vision field correct, because you will have access to field of view, so you'll be able to change the field of view. You'll have access to depth of field, so you'll be able to make it blurry in a distance, and you'll have access to a lot of little techniques that you can use to enhance the visuals on the screen. So all of these things help you get a grasp of that, basically. So what we're going to do now is we're going to move on to focusing on just the horizon line, and in the next lecture I go into a little more detail about the horizon line, give you some renders of different perspectives. So when you're standing on a building, you're looking to the ground, the horizon line will disappear off the screen and things like that, just so you get a really good understanding of the horizon line before you start your drawing. So I hope that's given you a basic understanding of what we're trying to achieve here, and the next lectures will sort of flesh it out in a lot more detail. So I'll see you in the next lecture.